up? Welcome back to Bull in the Ring, episode 2. I'm Joe, guy here.
I'm Elliot Clay.
And I'm Joe Sr.
And we're here just to talk about some college football with y'all again. Week number 2. We want to start off talking about, what do we want to talk about? Kyler Murray?
Yeah, we want to talk about Kyler Murray today. And what was the topic?
The topics recently is mainly he's about to go into the NFL draft, and the big story is, was he going to pick football or was he going to pick baseball? And this week he said that he's going to go for football, and he's leaving baseball behind. So for now, and so one of the big stories is about him being only 5'9" and being one of the shortest quarterbacks to ever be that short going into being drafted. And so, I mean, what other quarterbacks do you know that are kind of around that, 6 foot or below that you've heard of?
Currently in the NFL, you guys know of Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, are the big names that come up, and recently Baker Mayfield. And so, yeah, that's a big question mark. Height is a big question mark going into the NFL, and he's pushing the boundaries even more. Doug Flutie was one of the first to start pushing the boundaries of height for a quarterback, and only time will tell. And my opinion on Kyler Murray entering it is, the question mark for me is on the college level. When he played for Oklahoma, he played for the top of offensive line in college football. I forget the name of the award, but the OU line won that award. So he played behind a great offensive line that kept him from getting hurt, kept him upright. So the big question mark for me is, like, when he goes into the NFL, what type of offensive line is he going to play behind, and can if he plays behind a bad offensive line, can he still be productive?
Yep. What do you think about Kyler?
Well, Kyler Murray's his career change is he's losing $4.7 million for not playing for the Oakland Raiders. So I know his height and his
the A's.
Oakland A's.
The Oakland A's. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the Oakland A's, are I don't know what to think about them. What they think about all the trade, him trying to go to the NFL. He is going to be one of the smaller quarterbacks. And when they did play Alabama, he did get hit a few times pretty good behind the line. And, that's what's going to happen in the NFL on a daily basis. Even during when the camp comes and when the NFL camps start, we'll find out what he can take and what he can do.
I think during the Texas game is where I saw him, where they were trying to have him be more mobile and run the ball, and he was getting hit, and I was afraid he was going to get knocked out of the Texas game. Luckily, they stopped that and just kept him throwing it instead of trying to run it. So he's going to be small in there. I mean, some of the bigger quarterbacks like Cam Newton, he's really big, and those boys get hit still. But we'll see.
My recommendation is, if I was his offensive coordinator and on the NFL level, I would stay away from quarterback design runs, and kind of like what they did with RG3 when RG3 came into the league, and he had great legs, great mobility, but they pushed the issue of letting him run, and you see how RG3's career has came about. For a quarterback, we see how vital when their knees go out, just how much that affects their throwing, just even being a pocket passer. So I would stay away from that, the forced quarterback design run plays, and I would and if he does scramble, let that come just kind of just whenever it just develops naturally, and just tell him to slide, get down, and take as less damage as possible on the next level.
I think he'll be okay. I think it's better for him if he does go play baseball eventually. It's better to play football first and go back. As you can see now, like Tim Tebow, he played a little NFL, but now he's trying to play baseball, and he's doing great. So
yeah, that might happen to Kyler. I think that once he gets initiated into football and finds out how tough the NFL is, that he might, switch back. It's remained to be seen.
And I know recently they were doing a mock draft of the top players, and they have Kyler. I mean, currently it's just a mock draft, but I think they had him going to the Dolphins. So, yep. And so, but maybe we can go over the top 10 players. Do you know any players that that are going any places, or out of the top 10 where they could possibly go in the draft?
Well, we can do. We can kind of go through the list. And right now at the mock draft, the one we're looking at, they got Cardinals with the first pick. Them taking Nick Bosa. Pick 2, 49ers taking Josh Allen out of Kentucky. 3, they got the New York Jets taking Quinnen Williams out of Alabama. And I want to stop on Quinnen Williams. I would say out of the those names, that's the first name that jumps out at me. Got to see him play in the Final Four game against OU, and I was really impressed with Quinnen. That was the first time I've really seen OU really find a defense that could stop them in that first half, in that first quarter. When Alabama was scoring like crazy, then OU would come up and go 4 and out. And for OU fans throughout the year, we weren't used to seeing OU go 4 and out. They might go 4 and out every now and then, but just to see a team go consecutively do that was something we weren't used to seeing. And Quinnen Williams was a big factor, in that, and just great defensive tackle, great size, great speed. And I think whoever gets him he's going to help their defensive line out tremendously. And
then going for some of the rest of them, number 4, they have Devin White, the linebacker from LSU, possibly him going to the Raiders. Greedy Williams, the cornerback from LSU, also going to the Buccaneers. And then Clelin Ferrell from Clemson actually possibly going to the Giants. And then Ohio State's quarterback Dwayne Haskins possibly going to the Jaguars. And then the last one, or the last 2, is Ed Oliver from Houston, possibly going to the Bills. And then Jonah Williams, also another offensive tackle from Alabama, possibly going to the Broncos. So
I kind of want to go back on Dwayne Haskins. Another name that jumps out to me. Got to see him play a little bit this year at Ohio State. And I was really impressed with his play and his numbers. He got into the Heisman conversation towards the end of the year, and they're showing up Kyler's numbers, Tua's numbers, and Dwayne Haskins' numbers, and they were all putting up good numbers. And the thing you like about Dwayne going into the NFL is that he does have that NFL type of body, and so he's putting up numbers similar to Tua and Kyler. So he doesn't just have the prototypical build, but he has he's displaying the passing proficiency, and so I'm really interested in him as an NFL prospect, and I think he has a chance to have a really great career. I think whoever gets him is gonna find themselves a good quarterback.
Speaking of Dwayne Haskins, from the coaches have come out with or there's been like a poll of the coaches of they were giving them grades, and so the number 1 on the list of those coaches getting grades was Ryan Day. he's the new coach for Ohio State, and I think they really started looking at him when because I think Armour Mars was out the first 3 games of last year, I think, and so Ryan Day coached him the first 3 games, and I think one of the games that they really saw him do well in was that last game where they played who they play? The Horned Frogs. They played the Horned Frogs, and it was a close game, but Ohio State ended up winning that game. So I think that's when the coaches there are the people that really started liking Ryan Day. So.
Yeah, in that game, TCU's defense kind of faltered. We kind of see what the season was going to happen for TCU. TCU's defense wasn't that great, so Ohio State they looked pretty good. They had a good season. even with Armour Mars out for 3 games.
Although I know they gave Les Miles a grade and they gave him an A. What do you think about Les Miles going to
I think
Kansas?
it's going to do is good. I think it's going to upgrade the KU Jayhawks this year, and I think they'll, they're going. It's going to help in the recruiting just because of Les Miles' name, come from LSU, and he's been out for a while. But I think they'll have a. I think they'll be in there a little bit. I don't think they'll be a contender, but they will have a better team.
What I think about the Les Miles hire, I'm not ready to say it's a great hire. I think it's a good. I think it's a good hire, upgrade from what KU football has done in the past. My biggest question for Kansas football, in general, is just, do they want to be a good football team? I've seen in years past when they've had Mangino and they had a good momentum, good football, and then they chose to fire him. And my question to the KU community is like, do you want to be good at football? Because I think you can be, and it's a basketball school traditionally, and so I think they're as good as the community, the KU community, and all the regents and all them want to be. And how much they back Les Miles. So I think it's a good hire. Still a question mark to see what they do, because it takes a lot of dedication, and it takes a fan base. It takes regents. It takes everyone at the university wanting to be a good football school. So that's my question to KU football: is, do you want to be? Because you can be. You got to support Les Miles. And another question going into that Les Miles hire is, he's proven to be a great defensive coach. He proved that at LSU. One of the knocks on him at LSU, though, that got him on the hot seat, was he didn't have a great offense, and he's coming into the Big 12 into a high-powered offensive conference, and you put up 40 points. It's common to see 40-point games, 50-point games, and who he hires as his offensive coordinator, I think, will define how great of a hire that will be.
Yeah. And then the next two kind of they swap, but that's Neil Brown. He's the new offensive coach for West Virginia, and then Dana Holgorsen they both got A minuses, and Dana Holgorsen will be going to Houston to play, so to be the coach down there. So that'll be good. Let's see here. And then the last one we kind of want to talk about is the new coach that replaced Cliff Kingsbury. What do you remember what his name was?
Matt Wells.
Oh, Matt Wells. Yeah. Okay.
Matt Wells out of Texas Tech.
And so he's the last one coming in. That's going to be replacing Cliff Kingsbury. So hopefully he'll do a better job than Cliff did. One thing I wanted to mention back in the draft. One thing that Cliff said when he was the coach this past fall for Texas Tech, he said if he had the #1 draft, he would pick Kyler Murray. It turns out that he's the new head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, and they do have the first pick, but they already have a quarterback there, so they're probably not going to be picking Kyler. But it's kind of funny that he said that now that he's the new head coach over there. So. What do you think about that new rule where they might get rid, or not a new rule, but have you seen the AAF where I've heard about it, where they don't do kickoffs anymore. They just put the ball at the 25 and start there. What do you think about that? And maybe how that might affect with going in college football.
I think what they did in the this new league, you guys probably have tuned into it, just to flip through channels and check it out. This new Alliance Football League, and so they're trying that out, and so they're an affiliate with the NFL, and I believe with the NFL, but I think, just going with my gut instinct, I think they're just using the Alliance, kind of as a testing ground, as a decision they might do or might not do. So they're going to see if this, how it plays out in the game, and and then so, because the next big question for football in general on all the different levels is safety, and so it's very intriguing to see how it plays out in the Alliance League, and
some of the stats for the kickoffs in 2013, they were for the kickoffs. It was at 60% of teams getting the ball, doing kickoffs, and then now of last year, 2018, it dropped down to 42%. So I mean, it dropped 20% in 5 years, and then I know the total touchbacks back in 2013 was about 3,300, and then this year it was up to 4,200. So.
Yeah. We went over that stat, and I think, an indicator of that is, like you said, it's the amount of touchback. There's more touchbacks. And I think they've allowed, is it because they're allowing the kicker, they're moving him up so he can, so he's kicking it out of bounds more.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it makes sense. Like they said, it's a dangerous part of the game. It's, in the game of football, it's, they do the 40-yard dash because most times that's only as far as you got to run in a play. Then, so in the kickoff, they got so much field to work with that their momentum and the athletes and their size and speed today, that you can see why guys are this is a really dangerous part of the game, because instead of having just a 40-yard field to work with, throughout a normal gameplay, they're working with like 80 yards. And so you can see how the increased speed, increased momentum, and
what do you think about the kickoffs and them reducing?
Well, when I played football, the kickoffs. When I used to watch pro football, there was quite a few injuries, but that's what football was. I mean, that's what it was back then. And I know the athletes nowadays are more physical, and they got all the technology and everything, and they're way better athletes than we're back in the day. But still there's still good collisions going on, and football is not like it used to be, and they're taking away a little bit of the game, but they're watching out for injuries more, because a lot of the guys they can have an ending career if they get hit just right or something happens to them, especially the quarterbacks. They're really protecting the quarterbacks.
Yeah, they are. There's a lot of stuff. But I think it was in Rutgers where a guy got paralyzed in the kickoff return game. I'm not for sure if he was the receiver or not, but I know that was recently, of last year or the year before. So that's something kind of new. So they're kind of trying to steer. Maybe eventually, I don't know. I mean, you watch a football game, or or they just go put it at the 25. I mean, I guess they could do that. That'd be fine. But let's see. The next thing we want to talk about was the people transferring, and maybe the transfer portal. And I think recently Justin Fields, he was the quarterback, or one of the quarterbacks for Georgia. He was allowed to go play for Ohio State now. So and so people are talking about that. Is it what do you think about people transferring out of schools, and maybe how's that have to affect free agent? You think college is gonna have a free agency one day, or what do you think? I mean, well, just like Austin. No, Austin, was it?
Austin Kendall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin Kendall. He entered the transfer portal and transferred from Oklahoma to West Virginia, quarterback. And so I'm for players having the freedom to make decisions, and to go different places if they find themselves in a situation where they're not going to get playing time, and they only got so many years of eligibility. It's kind of a fine line, because you got to consider the players. They got so many years of eligibility. You got to consider the coaches, who they put so much time into recruiting and building up depth charts, and so it's it's a balance. And
I know that you can transfer. So like you can transfer a school, and sometimes you might have to sit out, sometimes you might not. But then there's another, you can transfer again, because once you become a graduate transfer, they don't try to stop graduate transfers. Pretty much a graduate can go anywhere. So pretty much Austin Kendall, he pretty much could go to West Virginia for 1 year, and then he'll be a graduate. Or I think he might already be a graduate, but you can go to one school, and once you become a graduate, then you can transfer to a different school. So, but I mean, it depends. I guess Jalen Hurts last year probably could have transferred. They probably would have let him transfer out last year, maybe, since Tua was in there. But hey, who knows? So, what do you think about the transfer portal and people transferring?
Well, I think it's good for the student athlete. I think he can go where he wants to go, where he could play right then. You know, if like West Virginia needs a quarterback, you know, he can go right in there, and you know, he's going to help out the team. It makes that's what makes football great. I think it's just the transfer system used to be really strict back in the day. But now it's more lenient. So, yeah, the guys can transfer and go play for whoever they want to that needs them.
So, maybe to end it, what do you think about Kyler? Do you think he'll get drafted top 10, or where do you think he'll fall maybe in the draft? I know it's a couple of months away, but what do you think that will happen to him?
Just my gut instinct. I think the big question mark is, can he be successful in the NFL? And so that's all the sports commentators, everyone opinion is coming out, yes or no, and just my gut instinct. I think he's the guy that's going to do it. He's going to break through and have a successful career, and just because not only is he mobile, but he has a great arm, and so if he chooses to play in a style where he's not putting himself in danger, and he can use that quickness to his advantage and make great throws. So I believe he'll have a good NFL career.